Good morning, everyone. I'm Johannes Rodenbach, working for Autodelen.net. We are a not-for-profit organization acting as the network for car sharing in Belgium. And we happily joined the STARS consortium. STARS is a Horizon 2020 project doing research on car sharing in Europe. And I would like to present you the results of this project. So, like I said, we work together with 9 partners all over Europe under the coordination of the Politecnico di Torino. We started the project in October 2017, so almost 3 years ago, ended this March. So I can show you an overview of the most important results we gathered during the project. The aim of the STARS project was to explore the diffusion of car sharing in Europe, to get an overview of what types of car sharing, what forms can be found in the different countries. We looked at how innovation can boost mobility as a service in a whole. We had a view on business models of car sharing. We did a very large survey and research on behavioral change. And this all resulted also in a good overview of the impact of car sharing on society and the impact of car sharing users on behavioral mobility behavior and so on. And this also led to policy recommendations, some guidelines, and also a toolbox very specifically directed to local governments, regional governments, to work with car sharing on their level. If you remember or you take home one main takeaway from the STARS research, it's that car sharing is not a univocal concept. There are many differences getting below the surface of car sharing, and that's one thing we try to explore in a more deeper way. So you have different types of operational characteristics, which I will come back to that later. The juridical scheme of the operator is important to look at. Business models, of course, there are different dimensions of the fleet, of the size of the fleet of car sharing operators. Are they working with electrical cars or not? How can people use the cars? What's their pricing policies? And also, what's the impact of the region and the city they are operating in? How do policy rules and the framework impact the way car sharing operators are doing their job? So all these things resulted in a very broad overview of different variables to see how car sharing is evolving in Europe. And like I said, we made a distinction based on the operational characteristics and the business models. We combined it to a new some new 5 different car sharing schemes. So first, let's have a look at the operational characteristics at the left side of the slide. So we make a distinction between round-trip systems, where you can pick up a shared car at a spot. You go to a shop, you visit someone, you bring the car back to the same dedicated parking location or to the same dedicated zone. So that's a round-trip system. You also have free-floating car sharing systems, which you can compare to free-floating bike or kick scooter schemes. You can pick up a shared car at one spot of the city, and you can leave it behind at another spot. You don't have to bring it back. So that's the principle of free-floating. And this distinction is quite important. We will see also for the results we have, the research we have done. This distinction is important to make because we see a different impact and so on. So we combined it with business models where car sharing providers with an own fleet. That's the main part, or the main part of all car sharing schemes. But you have also car sharing platforms that support people to share their own cars, peer-to-peer car sharing platforms, and also smaller groups of people that share cars among their neighbors, among friends. And we had a look at the dispersion of these different schemes among Europe and also in history. And one of the things we saw is that, for example, the round-trip station-based systems which are a bit of also the older systems. We see them mainly in Western Europe. And for instance, the free floating with operational area, which are a bit newer systems, starting to come to Europe at the beginning of 2000, the 10s, let's say, 2011, 12, 13. In Southern Europe, we mainly see these types of free floating car sharing systems. So these differences are quite interesting to see also historically. You can find more details in one of the many reports and deliverables you can find on our website. So, like I said, it's important to make the distinction between the different types of car sharing, but let's take a step back and see, can we compare people that use car sharing to people that don't use car sharing? And then we see, let's have a look on the impact that people have. And we see that people that use car sharing on average own less cars within their household than non-car sharing users. We see that in different countries, in different cities. If we have a look more specifically on the different types, for instance, in Germany, we have some comparable data, and we see that people that use round-trip systems on average own less cars than people that use free-floating systems. The same image is true for the mobility choices of car sharers and non-car sharing users. Also, we made a comparison here. On average, we see that people that use car sharing also are more in favor of using sustainable transport modes like bus, train, and especially also doing more trips by bike. So the impact of people that use shared cars is quite positive. Car sharing enables people to own less cars, maybe to have no cars in their household, and enables them to still be mobile and use more public transport, more bikes. So that's a very positive impact. Also here, we made a distinction between free floating and round trip system users, and we see the same as in the mobility, as in the ownership of cars. People that use round trip systems are more sustainable travelers than people that using free floating. So this distinction is we think quite important for cities to know. But so what conclusions can we take from this? So there's at first an uneven diffusion of car sharing among different countries. There's still some work to do to have a broader dispersion of car sharing among Europe. So that's definitely not only cities but also region and countries can make an effort for. There is growth potential, especially in the bigger cities, but it's unlikely that car sharing will become a massively used mode. Maybe in the future, if we can make a combination between autonomous cars and shared cars, there will be a new market, we believe. There are definitely positive benefits, mainly from replacing private cars, but also in the mobility behavior patterns. And then it's, like I said, important to make a differentiation between different car sharing modes. Free floating is less beneficial, but very important. We see that it's more attractive to the average driver. So it can be an entry level in the car sharing world. We also see that systems that are combining free floating and round trip systems are as beneficial as an only round trip system. So we shouldn't ban have other regulatory forms of free floating, but we should see them as a possible entry level for people to get in the car sharing world, and then maybe make a switch or have other subscriptions to other systems too. So that's mainly what it is also envisaged here. So can we convince people to get the idea of shared cars, and then maybe they can make the switch and own less cars and use more car sharing? That's the ideal situation we are working for. I have some very limited time left to let's see some results. So we have made policy recommendations, 10 concrete recommendations for cities and regional car sharing. We have toolbox for decision makers, which is very important because we made it at the end of the project. So all main results of the project are in there with some good practices and so on. We have fact sheets. And what we are planning now, so the project is ended, but we have still some printed copies of the toolbox, and we want to spread it. Hopefully after the COVID period, we will do some promotion via social media. So if you want to learn more about car sharing, take a look on our website. You can find all deliverables and research. And yeah, if you have some questions, please send them over. Thank you very much.